Hey guys, welcome back to Clockwork Dandy Noodles for the breakdown of To Your Eternity Season 2, Episode number 2. Thank you guys so much for your overwhelming support on the last video. I have missed you guys. Welcome back to the Pain Train family. This is one of those animes where it definitely takes a special person willing to go through the pain of these type of animes to sit through it. You're probably the same people who also enjoy things like Made in Abyss. Before you get going, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Very shortly, we're going to have the midway review. I'm going to crown my top 3 OPs, EDs, and current standing anime. Lots of things are going to change. There's new animes that are still dropping even halfway through. It's going to be interesting to show you guys what I'm currently thinking. There's a lot of really good stuff airing right now. We are very blessed in the anime community. I think I know roughly where I'm going. I can't wait to see what you guys think of my choices. Let's get straight to it, into episode number 2. Straight into quite a Halloween-y episode because Hisame's fake boob is perfect for Halloween. It literally sprouts tentacles. It drags her along. It possesses her arm and she's able to crawl along. And sadly, this horrific sequence is the nail in the coffin for Tonari. Tonari is one of those characters I figured would go eventually. We all thought she was going to die last season. All of the people that Fushi can change into are pretty young, most of them on average. Tonari's parting gift, however, is freedom. I've granted you freedom. I've also shown you the truth. This is at least unmasking the darker side to the Guardians. Fushi can now make his own decisions when it comes to dealing with them. You now know exactly what they're capable of. Deathbed talk, which really does bring a tear to my eye. I almost went. This episode got me crying. I haven't cried yet. It's this anime. This anime is going to hit me at some point. Fushi still unable to come to terms with the idea of death. He enjoys being around people and he gets lonely, and he did rush quite quickly to their sides when he found out they were in danger. But he still can't accept the idea of death, and it's something that he's trying to hold off. He's a character who can't die. He struggles to understand the nature of death. Humans, people who don't really live very long, they are finite, mortal. They understand and have come to grips with death over the years, and we just accept it as part of our lives. But it's interesting to see that it's Fushi who can't die, who can't actually grasp the meaning of death and the fact that it's just a natural thing. Fushi does confirm a few off-screen deaths for us this week. I was shocked because one of them I didn't think would be on the list, thinking we were going to see that character again. So during the roll call we see Gugu's brother, we see the old booze man, the guy who was pretty much like a father to him, and then Reen appears. I didn't think she was dead, but that then has some very dark inferences. Did she end everything after losing the person she loved, or did she die of a broken heart? It's also interesting to note that these guys joined his roster after he was on the island. So he wasn't even around them, and because they had touched his life in a certain way, those little sparkles we see that go into him at the end, they must have found him. One day he might have just been sat as a crab chilling out, and then Reen's bubble might have hit him. But it's also really sad that he doesn't initially recognize Tonari. She wants that. She's actually quite happy for that, and she spurs him to talk about her in the third person. And she's very relieved to see that he doesn't see her as an annoyance anymore, because I wasn't her biggest fan in season 1. But now she's grown up, and yeah, I guess a bit of space, a bit of time, I realised that she's a good character, and I am saddened with her passing, but also built up her body to be of use to Fushi because she was hoping that he would take on her form. It's really sad to see Fushi working out that it's Tonari right at the end, but it's what she wanted. I think she may have also feared, because of how he was reacting to deaths and things, and the fact that he went to isolate himself, she probably feared that if he knew it was her again, it might undo all the progress he had made by coming out into public in the first place and send him right back to the island. Lagarde the bird flowing around. I think that might have been the bit that almost got me, because it's pets, it's animals. I don't know why I just cry when it comes to the idea of a pet being left behind. Tonari ends up teaching Fushi all about the idea of death. Your friends don't want to hurt you. They don't intend to have their deaths as a punishment or anything. That it's just something that you have to endure when you make friends with people. They touch your lives, and because you love something so much and you're enjoying their company, they eventually have to vanish. It makes you appreciate what you've got. Fushi does gain this poison resistance form, which is nice. We do get an official look at our wall of death now. It's been a while. This wall is starting to look a lot more busy. It looks very, very cramped. I do wonder how many more faces are going to be added to this collection. Tonari's death feels like a close of a chapter, saying goodbye to season 1. That is one of the only characters that hung over from the first season. We are well and truly into a new world, a world where nobody right now understands Fushi. Fushi's now looking for friends, but he's in a time period which is very different. He's almost out of touch with of the world that he's in. He's still got this trauma. Whenever he gets too close to somebody, he kind of stops himself because he says, sometimes I would find someone I want to talk to, but then I would remember. Clams up, and then I guess he moves on. Narrator and Fushi chats, they are getting more and more frequent. It's very nice to have them and see how vocal Fushi is. I'm appreciative of how much he can talk. He can tell the audience how he's feeling pretty much now, or he'll tell the narrator how he's feeling. We're probably not going to see the narrator too much anymore because I think we're going to actually join a party next week. So we're actually going to have people on the team finally. These conversations add information on their enemy's whereabouts. It allows Fushi also to get stuff off his chest. Narrator also states that he can't read minds. Fushi somehow seems to think that the narrator can actually control bodies and things. I don't think he really can. I think there's not enough evidence to say that he can really do much in the way of interact with anybody. The narrator himself is very, very limited on his powers. So Hisame is shown mercy by Fushi, which is a very nice bit of growth from Fushi. I'm not going to try and kill you. Show you mercy by returning you to your people. Sad to see that this nightmarish circle is continuing on and on and on. We're just going to keep passing down the blood of this woman. They're always going to have this thing implanted in their arms. I hate that. We do learn the Hayase wish, which we kind of found out last season, so it's not too much of a surprise, is she wants Fushi's child. And I think this is for very bad reasons. I think she wants a child with Fushi because that child is then going to be immortal. And then you can place that being in the immortal's arm, and then you're going to live forever, and Hayase is never going to die. I'm terrified because I think at some point it's going to happen. For now, he just kind of agrees to something, but he doesn't exactly know what it is that he's promising. That's what it's going to take to get you off my back. But he doesn't understand what it means because she says you go to sleep with me, but he doesn't understand this. He just thinks it means cuddling up at night. Fushi this season is learning the rules of the game. He's wised up. He's worked out he can stay a certain amount of time, and initially day 1 and 2 is safe. It feels very similar to Don't Starve Shipwrecked. I've played a lot of that game. On the 7th day, you get a monster will come up and spawn. And day 21 is generally when the end of the world happens, and tsunamis, I think your build gets wiped off the island. He's worked out that day 1 and 2 is chill. I can enjoy myself. He's worked out that he can move around and enjoy life. Traveler Fushi is literally after my heart. He's eating different foods. He's learning about the world that he's in. He's learning skills. He's learning trades. He's maxing out all his skills. I do believe that the narrator needs to have a talk about the birds and the bees at some point with Fushi. He needs to have the talk. We do learn that he technically can have kids. Something I also figured would be the case. I'm actually not surprised that he can have children. It does make me wonder if those kids would also be immortal. What are the implications of any children that he does end up having? Ligard passing, that broke my heart. That really broke my heart. I don't actually know how long birds like that live. I feel like they've got long lives. I don't know if the bird just died because the owner wasn't around anymore and he wasn't being looked after. That was the bit which almost got me crying. Time skips galore in this anime. There's so much time skipping going on. Hisame ends up dead. I was shocked. She then has a kid, and then there's another kid, and then there's another kid, and there's so many kids at this point. I was losing track of where we were. Every single one of them has this embedded fake boob in their arm. Cycle continues. They always seem to introduce themselves to him. They don't really interact too much because he turns into Tonari to scare them off, which is quite funny. At that point, always have a kid with somebody. I don't know who they're having kids with. Somebody from the Guardians, I guess. Using that kid as basically a vessel. It means we're continuing this legacy of Hayase, who is a child murderer. This cycle needs to end. I hate this cycle, but I do fear that Fushi is going to give in to Hayase's secret wish and actually have a child. I don't want that as well. I really don't think that should be the case. More and more phases go by, and so much time is now moving on. The world around us is moving onwards. The knockers are being wiped out by the Guardians. So that is one positive. Fushi seems to be getting more and more complacent and slightly rounder because all he's really doing is moving around, eating, not doing anything. He's not facing the knockers. The Guardians are kind of doing it. Reading books in bed. I guess Fushi's lost his meaning. He's lost a drive. He's lost a purpose. And maybe that's the point, that having friends kind of gives you a bit of a purpose. It'll give you something to do. You want to hang out with them or you want to protect them. Him not having friends right now. Fushi has no direction. The narrator's kind of chilling out, not really doing anything. He's not saying anything. He doesn't comment on how round he is. He does probably need to give him a bit of a nudge. Is this really how you want to spend eternity? Just in bed reading books and getting round? We finally have a change in the cycle where we have a male descendant. Something about this feels a little bit sus. Adding a male descendant in because they're realising that the female descendants aren't getting anywhere. And I did wonder if having so many females was an attempt to get Fushi to fall for them, and it's just not happening because he's too innocent right now. Fushi at this point completely complacent. He's just laying in bed as he's being approached by this guy. It does seem next week that we're actually going to go out into the world. The 6th successor, the 6th generation. I guess if they're 17 having kids and then the kids are having kids young, I think anywhere up to 100 years has perhaps been whacked on top of the 40 that we've already had. But it does seem that Fushi finally gets coaxed out next week. He goes out with the male descendant. Whether he just becomes friends with the male descendant, I'm not quite sure. Will it work if the male descendant has a kid? I don't know how any of this works yet because we haven't got enough information on the cycle, the vessels for hire say, so we're not really getting any more information there. A very interesting episode. Fushi is a round ball right now. He needs to get some motivation, go out there. It's a possibility as well. He's depressed. I can relate very hard to just reading in bed, doing things and not really having the drive to go out, do something physical. I can relate to that. I think we need to get Fushi out and about. He needs to go and kick some knocker butt. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The pain train being a bit gentle with us. It hasn't started skidding down the slope with all the brakes kind of turned off. Almost got me this week with the bird. Not yet. I am safe for now. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a good week. Thank you as well for your kind words last week as well. That really got to me. I almost happy cried because I was happy to see so many of you returning. I didn't actually think I would get even 5 people. I think it was 5 of you guys, and you made me just happy cry on the inside because I've had a rough year pretty much. And then seeing 5 people come back who watched my really old videos to come back a year later, I really do appreciate your support. Thank you guys so much. I really hope that I've evolved in the year and my videos are different. Thank you, and I will see you guys again next week. Take care. Bye bye.